good morning.
Good morning.
Good morning. Good morning, Jeff.
Get the technical setup here. The topic of my talk today is why celebrate? Celebrations mark changes in cycles, beginnings and endings, births and deaths. We're in the midst of a variety of great changes that have been taking place, and I'm sure you can't live today and not be noticing all the changes that are taking place. And there's always these big changes that are taking place, it seems like. This is just the way life is. We have our personal, individual cycles, and then we have our more collective, more shared lives that we go through together. We have our, multiple realities. We live in multiple realities. We have our inner lives, and then we have our more outer lives. We have our personal, individual life of what we're going through on a day-to-day basis, and our life with our loved ones and our family and our friends and work. And then there's the national and the global events that our lives are taking place in the midst of. So three weeks ago, when I decided to give this talk, I was thinking of giving a talk on prayer and metaphysics, and I was just thinking of philosophy and just general topics. And someone suggested right after the moment when I said, yes, I'll do the talk. I said, well, given the date, December the 3rd, it'd be good to do it on Christmas. And all of a sudden I was like, Christmas? I'm going to give a talk on Christmas. So ever since that moment, it's been, Christmas. Oh, it's Christmas. Christmas is coming. So it's kind of thrown me a little bit. And I've been doing some work, some inner work. It's forced me into doing some reflection and some inner work and some writing and real pondering. And I've been, dealing with some feelings of loss and some feelings of regret that are old things, around family and holidays and things like this. Well, the day after Thanksgiving, Kate and I are walking through stores. She asks, we're up in Seattle at family, and she's getting up early, and, well, do you want to come with me to go to the stores, right? 6 o'clock in the morning, Friday morning. All right, I'll go. I haven't ever done that before. I can sit in the car, I bring my computers with me, I have my cell phone, I can occupy myself anywhere. We're walking through the stores, and I'm noticing myself in mirrors and in the windows and things like that, and all of a sudden I'm like, looks like I'm frowning. Who is that in the mirror? God, he's getting old. And I say to Kate, it looks like I'm frowning. She says, you are. And I look again. And I start to, I want to argue. I'm not frowning. And then I'm noticing that I'm arguing. And I'm still walking, and I'm noticing, no doubt about it, that's frown. And I'm like, well, what am I frowning about? I don't feel like I'm frowning inside here. Maybe I am frowning. Maybe I'm a little angry. Where is this coming from? So, it's been interesting writing this paper, writing this talk, doing this introspection. And I've got to admit it, though, that the holidays are here, whether I like it or not. So I've decided to enjoy it. I don't know that I'm happy yet, but I've decided to enjoy them. I mean, given the choices and the options, I'd rather enjoy them than not. And look at, we're 10 days past Thanksgiving now, and Christmas is in 3 weeks, and Hanukkah starts on Saturday, and then there's Christmas, and there's Kwanzaa the day after, and then there's New Year's, and then there's January recovery. Hooray! Hooray, January recovery. I'm noticing that it's like holidays get in my way. I have this agenda I'm planning. And I can't quite do everything in the same way because people are off and they're traveling and they're doing different things, and I can't do business like I usually do on a day-to-day basis. Well, there's a series of holidays then that we're looking down the throat of, that we are in the midst of. And one of them that's kind of unusual is this business of 2012. You know, I'm like, well, what are the holidays here? And well, there's solstice. Well, what's this 12? I start hearing about. Well, numerologically, it's the conclusion of the 12-year cycle that began with 1/1/2001. And it's just the coincidence of the sequence of the last 12 years. And now we're at 12/12/2012. Well, yes, it is a coincidence, but there is also numerology, and it's an ancient science of the importance and significance of numbers and dates, and are these good days to make decisions or bad days? Look at Nixon had an astrologer. What good it did him, I don't know. Maybe it would have been a lot worse without the astrologer. Maybe it was the astrologer that kept him out of jail. Who knows? But there is significance to these things, and there is in many ways the significance that we give to them. And there's this thing then between our inner lives and the outer, between the things that we make meaningful and significant and the things that the world or our culture makes important and significant. So, so it can be argued. It really comes down to you. You know, is 12/12/12 important to you? Great. If it's not, great. Doesn't really matter. Matters to you, matters to me, but ultimately it only matters if it matters to you. Now, in addition to our regular holidays, we have the conclusion, the 25-year conclusion of the Harmonic Convergence is this year. This is the time we were thinking of in 1987, when Barbara Marx Hubbard and many others, Jose Agrulius, or some pronunciation, had the idea and promoted the idea of the harmonic convergence, that there was a series of planetary alignments and astral alignments that were going to be culminating from the age of Aquarius through the end of the Mayan calendar, and now we're here. This is the end of the Mayan calendar. In many ways, this could be seen like the significance of 12/12/2012, but there's a difference. And the difference is, there does seem to be some actual astronomical, not just astrological, but astronomical alignment between the Earth and the center of the galaxy. Now, this is said to be a cycle in the harmonic convergence. This is said to be a cycle that occurs every 11,000 years or every 26,000 years, and I'm still not clear. I'm getting different stories. You know, 11,000 and 11,000 doesn't equal 26,000. I don't know, maybe there's a rounding error here. So, then there's the talk of this 8-minute window that's going to be taking place on the day of the solstice, when we are in direct alignment with a black hole, because guess what? At the center of our galaxy is a black hole. At least that's what I'm hearing. I haven't seen it, so I can't tell you I know directly, but this is one of the stories I'm hearing. At the center of galaxies are black holes. And we've got a galaxy we're in, and guess what? There's a black hole at the center of it. And we're going to be in direct alignment for 8 minutes, I'm hearing, on the day of the solstice, when there's no stars, no clouds of gas and galaxies. It's a direct, clear shot right from the black hole right to us. One place I saw said 11:11 Greenwich Mean Time. Now, I don't know, does anybody know? You probably, who knows what Greenwich means? I don't know, sometime during the day of December 21st, there's this 8-minute window in which it said that there could be a flood of cosmic rays and other particles that otherwise get caught or bounced off other heavenly bodies. But for this 8 minutes, there's a direct line. I guess we'll see. Now, you know what they're saying, that there's scientists that have taken core samples from ice samples, and they have found that there's a higher level of the heavy metal iridium, which has been named in 1836 after the Egyptian goddess Isis. Iridium, this very rare metal, very heavy metal, and when they study core samples at 11,000 years, every 11,000 years, they notice there's a heavy amount of iridium in the atmosphere. And that some of these, either these metals or these cosmic rays, could have genetic effects, could have mutation effects, could cause harm to living creatures, could create catastrophe. Oh my God. So there's many, many conflicting stories. NASA, the National Aeronautic and Space Administration, has announced there is no evidence that any galactic events will be any different in the next few days than they are in any other days. There is no scientific evidence. Now, on the other hand, Paul, the Apostle Paul, rushed to convert as many Jews and Gentiles to become Christians as he could, because he was certain that the end days were going to happen any day then. And that was in the age of Paul. And ever since then, there's been people who said the end days, you know, Nostradamus. There's also, of course, the talk of the fiscal cliff in politics and economics, and the ecological disruptions from global warming, melting ice, rising water levels, and more dangerous storms. We can move beyond these myths, though. We can step away from fear and negativity. We can't ignore evidence, but we can choose to take action when we have reasonable reason to take action. After all, we are the center for positive living. Now, Barbara Marx Hubbard in 1987 talked and predicted of an increase in human awareness and consciousness and harmony, and I think that it's a lot better, that story is a lot better, more empowering than the one of doom, gloom, and devastation. That's the one I'm going to go with. There are various positive approaches. Barbara Marx Hubbard and 14 other futurists have formed a group called Birth 2012, and they're empowering people, and they're recommending to people to think positive, hold positive thoughts, be positive. And a wise old friend of mine, Solala Towler, you know, I called a number of my buddies, my old buddies. And I have friends who've studied mysticism and metaphysics and spiritual ways for, 40-something years. So Solala is running out the door. I call Solala, and he's running out the door, and he goes, I only have a minute. I say, well, what's this business of 2012 or 212 and everything? And he goes, John, it's all in the circumstances. It's got nothing to do with the circumstances. It's got everything to do with what we do with the circumstances. It's what we do with the cards that are dealt. That is the art of life, not the cards themselves. There's always circumstances. There's always things we can complain about and grumble about and wish were different. There is what is, and we can do something with what is. So why create? My answer is because we can. Because we have the opportunity to celebrate and to create. And I think there's a direct connection between celebration and creation. They go together. They're hand in hand. And when we can remember that connection, it can take us out of negativity and doom and gloom thinking. I've identified 3 reasons to celebrate and make this a great holiday season. First, I urge each one of us to be good metaphysicians. What is a metaphysician? Well, metaphysics is being willing to go beyond the obvious, our daily routine, the cause and effect, reality and routine of daily life, to ponder and to think about what are we here for? What are we doing? What do we want to do? What do we want to accomplish? What do we want to leave behind? What kind of a life do we want to have? So, wake up! This is life! And life is hard, but it's also glorious. If we're in pain, get help. If we're not in pain, celebrate all the more. Hey, we're not in pain. Second, let go of the old. Fear keeps us alive, but just a little bit too much fear, and it's toxic. Now, fear had a lot to do with Jesus being looked forward to and being called and named as the Savior. Look at the Palestinians and the Jews at the time who were oppressed and had been oppressed over and over and over again. They were yearning for freedom. They were looking for a new way, and they were ready to make anybody their Savior. But when Jesus came along, he was smart enough to say, I've got a metaphysical, spiritual solution, not a military solution. Kate reminded me in the last few days, as I've been in a state of some angst about this, she said, well, you know, the life and teachings of Jesus has been a major, major turning point in the history of humanity. You know, I mean, we've been going on here for a million years, a long, long time. Recorded history is just very, very short window. And Jesus' message was one of love and turning the other cheek and the divinity of all human life. I'd say of all life. He was the one who welcomed and who would talk and who would become friends with the prostitute and the tax collector. So we have an opportunity. We can let go of the old. We can turn to prayer when we need it, and we can ask for help. And when we don't need it, we can turn to our neighbor and offer help to them. We've got a great network here in our church. So when people have concerns and have needs and have emotional distraught, and then it's time for prayer and it's time to support each other. And we do that. We have done with many people who are here and who have gone on to the next stage. So depend upon and practice an expanded prayer life. Write about what you're feeling and share your feelings with those people who are close to you, here and in your family and in your lives, with your trusted friends. And find that next shooting star to catch hold of. Let go of the old and find a new shooting star. And if you can't find a shooting star, build a rocket ship to take you to the destination that you dream of enjoying. Jesus' message of love and turning the other cheek and serving others has revolutionized the cynicism and resignation that has plagued humanity. Christmas is a tradition that was begun about 100 years after Jesus lived and died, near as I can find in research. And it was built upon a much older tradition of pagan celebrations of the great hunt, and having a feast when they caught the buffalo, or having great harvests and it becoming too nasty and miserable to be out working in the field, so they got to work inside and might as well have something to eat and drink and celebrate. So, I have a gift to offer. And my gift is for each one of us and for myself. So when you see me faltering, remind me. So the gift is to choose to celebrate, to choose to create. Why? Just because we can. No good reason, although that's a pretty good reason. If you feel wounded and unable to get help, then look for help, ask for help, hire a coach, go to a doctor, go to a minister, go to a counselor, get help. If your support system isn't big enough for the problems you're facing, build a bigger support system. So, my gift today is that we write prayers down. That we write our prayers down And we can write them down online, actually. You know, there's unity.org. You can post prayers right online, or write it and have an altar in our homes. I've had an altar for years. Kind of have an altar. I could do a little altar building probably in my home. Comes and goes. And I can make a commitment to have a better altar. So have an altar in your home, wherever you have anything of significance and sacred importance. And then write your prayers and put them there. Or put them in a prayer box. So yesterday we went and got a box, and I'm going to start a meditation, and here's what I would suggest that we do. Kate's going to hand out some cards, and if you meditate for a moment or two and have a prayer to offer, and write it on one of these cards, and then we'll put it in the prayer box, and then periodically we'll send our prayers off to Silent Unity in Kansas City, and then they'll pray over them for 30 days, 24 hours a day. They have continuous prayer going on, and they accept prayers from all over the world, and then at the end of 30 days, poof, they're released, and we can move on. So I think it'd be good for us to connect more with Silent Unity and work more with our prayer life. I've found a couple of important words that have been powerful in my life, and it's don't judge, give thanks. Be grateful and appreciate what is. Let's practice and learn how to be good metaphysicians. Let's celebrate. And with that, let's begin a 2-minute meditation. So if you'd like to close your eyes or keep your eyes open and just go within yourself and think of some prayer that you'd like to offer for yourself or for a loved one or for humanity. And then when you are done with your meditation, then write that prayer down, and then we'll put them in the prayer box.